The tradition is here. The memories are waiting. Next.
The National League Championship Series has shifted back to the gateway to the West. It is back to St. Louis for Game 6 as Cardinal fans, a sea of red, flow into Busch Stadium. And they will be heard here tonight as the Cardinals look to extend the series one more night. And tonight, the Cardinals are hoping to avert the Giants' first pennant celebration in 25 years. It is an unseasonably mild day in St. Louis as we get set for Game 6. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, and welcome to the start of our prime-time coverage. Vince Scully and Joe Garagiola will be along with the play-by-play in about 20 minutes. For the Giants, it will be left-hander Dave Dravecky. He pitched a two-hit shutout against the Cardinals in Game 2. Last Wednesday, the only hits, 2 singles, and that was it. And the Cardinals go with John Tudor, who was beaten by Dravecky. It's been a comeback season for Tudor with that broken leg injury back in April. He turned it around and compiled a sparkling record of 10 up and 2 down. Jack Clark out of the lineup again tonight. There was some speculation that he would be able to return, but that ankle is still bothering him, so Clark sits it out. Now, the focal point of attention back here in St. Louis figures to be Jeffrey, don't call me Jeff Leonard. St. Louis players and fans are upset about his negative remarks concerning various Cardinals and the city of St. Louis. Now, on the field, Leonard has had a sensational series. He has backed up his bravado with 4 home runs. 4 home runs the first 4 games, which set a league championship record. And with a .412 batting average, he is a strong candidate for most valuable player honors. But when you look back at this series, Jeffrey Leonard will be most remembered for his intimidating style and his disparaging comments. Earlier, I discussed this with him.
You appear to enjoy the agitating. You like to stir it up. Why?
You know, when fans usually get on you, you're either doing something good, you're doing something that's going to hurt their ball club, you probably just got a good hitter or made a great play, and they're trying to distract you and get you off your game. And once they do that, you know that you have their full attention.
You will have their full attention here tonight because the Cardinal fans are very upset with you, but you say you will taunt them.
Well, you know, I said a few things earlier, but right now I've backed them up. And like I said, you know, anything I can do, I will let them know it. I'll turn around, I'll taunt them to death.
All right, you have coined a new phrase. You hit the home run, you run around the bases, and you give it the old one flat down, something that Cardinal pitchers have really enjoyed.
Well, you know, it's a long story to that, but right now, when I have my flap down, it means that pitch was nothing.
Which is a taunt of the Cardinal pitchers. In fact, Friday night, Bob Forsch decked you. Do you think he was trying to hit you on purpose?
I think so. But, you know, him being a seasoned vet, he had to do something, and I think it showed an example for his ball club. You know, hitting me and showing them that, you know, you just can't do these types of things.
Will there be retaliation? Do you plan to get back at these guys?
Well, the team standpoint, I think we already have, but winning this whole thing will definitely be it. On a personal standpoint, I may have to wait.
Is there anybody on the Cardinals you don't particularly like?
Tommy Herr.
Why?
I just don't like him.
Good.
Yeah, you know, his style of play, his mannerisms, you know. He's a good ball player, but I just don't like him.
Anybody you do like, Jeffrey?
I like Jack, Ozzie, you know, Willie McGee.
Well, what about the report that there's a $50,000 bonus in your contract if you take most valuable player honors? Is this something that you are thinking about?
I'm really not. You know, all these things were put in my contract 3 years ago, and, you know, the ups and downs the Giants have been through, I haven't even thought about it, and I still have it now. But my main concern is just winning this thing, whether I get it or not.
All right, they call him the Hackman. Jeffrey, don't call me Jeff Leonard. And tonight's National League Championship Series pregame show is brought to you by Exciting Taste. Just say hello, Taco Bell. Welcome back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. You look over the first 5 games of this series,
And the key to the Giants' success, as expected, they've done it with the long ball. 9 home runs for the Giants as compared to 1 for the Cardinals. But surprisingly, they have outrun the Cardinals. Now, for more on that subject, we have the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith, alongside our National League Championship Series pregame analyst, Joe Morgan. Joe?
Thank you, Marv. Ozzie, I feel that Vince Coleman's statement at the beginning of the series that the Giants were tough for the Cardinals to steal off of actually set the tone for the series.
Well, I don't know if it set the tone. I think that there are certain clubs in the National League that it may be kind of tough to run off of, and these seem to be one of the guys over the years. You've seen a lot of pitchers improve on their moves to home plate, and of course, going into this series, you knew that you had Rick Russell over there, who doesn't have a real high leg kick. All the left-handers, and it's always a tough situation when you go against guys that have some experience, have been around a while. They realize that the game has become so fast now that you better shorten up your move to the plate or you get ran to death. So you know, I think it was from that standpoint that you know, he was speaking, and I don't think that that's really going to change his approach to the thing. The opportunities really have not presented themselves, Joe, in this series so far. As far as running is concerned, you don't want to just run for the sake of running because you can run and run in the outs. Now, they've pitched out a couple times and gotten us on pitch outs, but I think that's just by chance.
Right. Dave Draveki's on the mound tonight. Last time he pitched a 2-hitter. Anything special you're going to do against him tonight?
Well, no, I'm not going to give away any secrets, but I think the results will be a little bit more favorable for us this time.
You seem like you have a little cold.
I do have a cold. I've been fighting it. Anytime you have to fight the blustery winds of Candlestick, it gets a little windy out there. But you know, this is no time to be laying back, laying off. You know, we got to go out there and battle, and hopefully tonight we'll come out victorious and push this thing to tomorrow night so we can win it.
Thank you a lot, Ozzie. Back to you, Marv.
Thanks, Joe. We'll take a short break right here. When we return, we'll be back to take a close-up look at this series that has certainly had its share of ups and downs. Back in St. Louis. Well, since last April, both the San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals have been dreaming of playing into this crisp October season. Let's take a look back at this series with an assist from Carly Simon. Both the Giants and the Cardinals are hoping that they have the stuff that dreams are made of. We are closing in on game time, and we're set for our national anthem. Let's go to Cardinal public address announcer John Hewlett.
Performing the national anthem tonight is one of our country's most popular entertainers. Please give a warm Cardinals welcome to Mr. Lou Rawls.
That our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
So it'll be Dave Dravecky for the Giants, John Tudor for the Cardinals. That is it for the pregame show. I'm Marv Albert, Vin and Joe with Game 6 after this NBC News Digest.
NBC Sports presents the 1987 National League Championship Series. Tonight from Busch Memorial Stadium, the San Francisco Giants versus the St. Louis Cardinals. Brought to you. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Welcome to Busch Stadium in St. Louis for Game 6 of the National League Championship Series. And no matter where your perspective is, the Cardinals must have their backs to the wall.
Well, they're going to have to do what got them here, and that means run. They need runs, and the only way they make runs is to steal and go from first to third, and they just haven't been doing that. And whether they've had the opportunity is another thing, but they just haven't been playing the way we've seen them play.
Whitey's had to make a couple of decisions. Number one, does he stay with a slumping Tommy Herr in the number 3 slot? The answer is yes, he will. Number 2, is he going to play Willie McGee against a left-hander? The answer is yes, but he'll be batting number 7. They've moved Tony Pena up. Meanwhile, the Giants sailing along with the same cast that has done so well.
It'll be Dravecky and his private catcher, Melvin. I think one of the big things, Vin, that the Giant pitchers have going for them, they know that with a man on first and nobody on, there's hardly anybody in that lineup that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So you pitch a little different.
A couple of things that have not been surprising. The Giants have had 9 home runs to the Cardinal 1. The Giants have turned 10 double plays. And maybe the biggest surprise of all, the Giants have stolen 5 bases and the Cardinals only 2.
Well, Willie McGee hasn't run all year. Ozzie has had a couple of chances. Coleman had a chance off second, but I would think tonight's the night or they got all win or the rest.
Yes, tonight indeed is the night for the Giants and for the Cardinals. We'll get to the starting lineups and see how it all comes out right after this. More than any other man, I guess he would express the feelings and the sentiments in the city of St. Louis tonight. Yes, Ozzie Smith takes the Cardinals out for big number 6 against the San Francisco Giants. Here's the way the Giants stack up. Robbie Thompson, Kevin Mitchell, and then Jeffrey Leonard. Candy Maldonado with Chili Davis and Will Clark. Bob Melvin, who catches Dravecky behind the plate. Jose Uribe, Dave Dravecky, the pitcher.
The defense, so Kendall's in right field, Lindemann at first base. Otherwise the same. Tudor changes speeds, and here is Robbie Thompson.
And John Tudor ready to pitch to Robbie Thompson. Tudor during the regular year, coming back from the broken leg, went 8-1, wound up with a 10-2 record. Lost game 2 of the LCS. 2 of the runs charged against him, the error by Ozzie Smith. He gave up home runs in that game to Jeffrey Leonard and Will Clark. Starts with a change high, ball 1. Robbie Thompson is deceptive. If you just see 125, you say, well, he hadn't really contributed. He's been on base 8 times and scored 4. In there, 1-1. Boy, this crowd is wound up as tight as you can get, and you can understand. It'll be another highly enthusiastic crowd, as we have seen in each city. And a good fastball. He was late on that.
He set him up with the change, start him off with a change, a slow curveball, and then a good fastball. Pena making sure he keeps that ball down. Tudor has to pitch down. That was a pretty good fastball.
In looking at the Cardinals defensively, Whitey changed his lineup a couple of times. Got him. There was a time earlier tonight where it looked like Lake was going to catch, Pena was going to play first, and Lindemann was going to play right field. But they have settled down with the more orthodox club.
Willie McGee was the one they were waiting for before they made up their mind. Then if the Giants are going to chase the last pitch, the pitch that Tudor made to Thompson, it'll be a long night for him. That's what he did the other time. Slow curveballs outside the zone.
Well, here's Kevin Mitchell. 1 ball and no strikes. Mitchell in his career was 6 for 9 against Tudor, but he drew the collar in game 2. 1-1.
I asked Jose Morales, I said, of the guys in your lineup, who do you think would be the 2 guys who might have the best success as we look at Hackman? Best success against Tudor, he said Mitchell and Chili Davis.
1 ball and 1 strike to Kevin. And he hits one and muscles it into left center for a base hit in front of McGee. He was slightly jammed, but he is so strong. A confrontation. John Tudor and Jeffrey Leonard. Well, that's a direct quote from John Tudor. And the Hackman has been quite outspoken as far as his sentiments are concerned. Jeffrey Leonard has some scalps dangling from the belt. Home runs against Matthews, Tudor, McGrain, and Cox. 4 home runs in the previous 5 games. Well, they promised to get on him, and they are on him. And they're beginning a chant now. Jeffrey, remember in San Francisco, the fans were chanting and taunting Ozzie Smith. 0-1 to count. You will notice throughout the night, not only the colorful Cardinal red splash throughout the stadium, but when they are really excited, they will be waving white towels. And boy, they are singing the chant, Jeffrey to the sky.
It's the same kind of reaction the villain wrestler gets, the junkyard dog or somebody like that.
And Jeffrey just goes about his business. 0-1 the count. 1 out, first inning. We're just starting up with Mitchell at first on a base hit to center. And he just got back. They had him leaning the wrong way. And Mitchell was able to get under the tag.
Lindeman is not so sure that he did not get him. You watch Mitchell. Mitchell is leaning. He's got a pretty good lead, not as far as he can get. He did a double take there. The ball was there. Tag was late. I believe he got his hand in there, but it was a high tag.
Yeah, the tag was maybe above the elbow, on the elbow, and the hand just did get there. John Kibler umpiring at first. And now Tony Pena out to the mound to talk to John Tudor. Jim Lindeman is not an experienced first baseman, but in the earlier lineup that Whitey Herzog featured, he almost played Tony Pena at first base. And Pena had played first base 5 times in his 8 years. So Lindeman has to be considered more of a veteran at the position, certainly, than Pena.
And Pena came out on the field today with a first baseman mitt, but they had him listed as the catcher.
0-1 the count to Jeffrey Leonard. The chant continues. Mitchell almost picked off. And he was way out in front and cued that. 0-2 the count. And there you can see some of the towels. You'll see a lot of them before tonight is over. It started here on T-shirt day, we understand, and they've picked it up with towels. No balls and 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes.
The last time Tudor faced Leonard, when he was effective, it was with the slow pitches on the outside part of that plate out of the zone. He was a little bit too far out with that one.
1-2 to Leonard. On deck, Candy Maldonado. Got him, and look at the towels. They go wild. A snowstorm at Busch Stadium. So John Tudor rings up Jeffrey Leonard. 2 strikeouts for the left-hander, and the batter's Candy Maldonado. Chris Spire was checking with him on the pitch and the speed.
The speed was 72 miles an hour, but you know what he said there was he ain't got nothing.
Ball 1. 1-0 to Maldonado.
It always happens when a guy strikes out on a bad pitch, you come back to the bench and say he ain't got nothing, and you got the big 0 for 1 on you.
Maldonado has not hit Tudor during his career. And of course, with 2 down, there's a threat now that Mitchell try to go. He's stolen 1 base in the series. Mitchell at first, 2 out in the first inning, no score. Tudor put such a good move on Mitchell on that pitch that he lost sight of the strike zone. He had Mitchell kind of leaning back to the bag.
What he's done too is really cut down that lead on a base hit. They got a pretty good chance to get him at third base now.
Right foot not quite on the rug. In there.
He gets a lead, but he's breaking back, and that's where he cuts it down. I mean, how far he gets out to means absolutely nothing, because Tudor's been able to freeze him and have him go back.
2-1 to count to Maldonado. Chili Davis on deck. Lindeman holding a corner on Mitchell. 2-2. I tell you what it looks like right now. It looked like the early innings of the Greg Matthews game.
He's putting that ball in the outside corner, and then he's slipping a little bit out of the strike zone. He's changing speeds, and unless the Giant hitters wait for that ball, they're going out trying to get it, and they're not going to be successful doing that.
2-2. fly ball to straightaway center. It's playable, and McGee is there. No runs, 1 hit, and a man left at the end of half an inning. The Giants nothing. Coming up, the Cardinals. Here's the Cardinal lineup with Vince Coleman, followed by Ozzie Smith and Tommy Herr. Jim Lindemann in the cleanup spot. Terry Pendleton, Tony Pena, and Willie McGee. Jose Oquendo and John Tudor, and Dave Dravecky on the mound.
On defense, it's the same way against the left-hand pitchers. Leonard, Davis, Maldonado. There you see that infield. Uribe having a good series, and Bob Melvin is the private catcher behind Dravecky. Has a good slider, sinker, cuts the fastball, and it's easy to tell when he's got his good stuff. He'll break bats. Last time he broke 5, so keep track of that, and you'll see how good he's doing.
Remember, he pitched a 2-hitter to shut him down 5-0. One of the things happening to the Cardinals in this league championship series is reflected in Vince Coleman and what he has done. When you have a left-hander like Dravecky on the mound, Coleman, one of many switch hitters, bats right-handed. He is still looking for a hit as a right-handed batter. He's 0 for 8. In there. And when you look at the Cardinals switch hitters, when they're hitting right-handed, they're batting 143. And the entire team against left-handers hitting just 169. So that's where they are and why. Roller to shortstop to Jose Uribe. 1 away. Ozzie Smith will be the batter, as you might well have expected. Jeffrey Leonard had quite a reception committee out there in left field. Lots of noise, lots of chanting, and lots of signs. Perhaps the most obvious was a large sign that said, "Leonard wears his IQ, 0-0. Another one reminded of his utterance following their home run. Big sign that said, "Let him wait." Well, we'll see. 1 ball and no strikes to Ozzie Smith. It might come as a surprise to you, but Ozzie Smith's bat is heavier than Jack Clark's bat. And certainly you would think the big home run hitter would swing the heavier bat. Ozzie's bat normally is a 34-ounce bat, and Jack Clark's only 31-ounce. However, sometimes, just depending upon the field, Ozzie will go with Jack Clark's bat.
It's really Joe Morgan's model. Clark uses the Joe Morgan model and get that good bat speed.
And he rolls it foul outside of third. Nick Leva there to let it go by, and the count 1-2. Of course, bats. I'll remember Bob Horner hitting a monstrous home run with a black bat, and the next time he came up, he had a white bat, you know, light color. And the next day I asked him, he said, "Well, they don't make any difference. I just reach in and grab one."
If you can hit, that's the way you feel.
Little foul off to the right, out of play, into the crowd behind the Cardinal dugout. 1-2 to Ozzie Smith with Tommy Herr on deck.
And yet there are guys like Musial would get it. As we look at Jack Clark, would shave down the handle. Richie Ashburn said he took a bat to bed with him. He was so much in love with it.
John the corner, waiting for Bob Engel, and it looked like Engel looked at Ozzie, Ozzie looked at Engel, and then the right arm came up. That was an echo of a call.
Melvin really setting up on that outside corner. There's that backdoor slider. What he does is start that ball outside the zone, and it breaks to catch the outside corner, hoping that the hitter gives up, which Ozzie did, and that's why it's called the backdoor slider. You're slipping in through that back door.
So with 2 down, here is Tommy Herr. No score, first inning. For the Cardinals, this is an anniversary. 2 years ago on this date, they were down 2-1 and beat Los Angeles 12-2 thanks to a 9-run second to even the series. 1-0. 2-0.
Then Tommy Herr hitting 105 is 2 for 19 with 11 flyouts. He's hit the ball in the air far too much for him, and in batting practice he was really concentrating on chopping down on the ball to get the ground ball or at least the line drive with the overspin.
2 balls and no strikes. That's in there. Whitey Herzog had to make a decision about the number 3 slot in the lineup. He was thinking about perhaps switching Terry Pendleton. And Herr was finally put back into the number 3 slot.
In the pregame show, Leonard says he just doesn't like Tommy Herr. What a statement to make. No reason, he just doesn't like him.
3 balls and 1 strike to count. 2 down, first inning, no score. And that's looped to right. Coming up for it is Maldonado. Base hit. So Tommy Herr, a 2-out single, and that will bring up Jim Lindemann. Tommy Herr, during the regular year, stole 19 bases in 23 tries. Now, everyone has the feeling the Cardinals are going to have to force themselves to run. And let's see if they even think about it now with 2 out and Lindemann at the plate. Hanging like a cloud, of course, Craig's ability to call pitch outs.
Oh, he had something on that throw. Almost got by Will Clark. Now, Craig will call that. He does not call pitches. I made sure of that. He calls for throws to first base and pitch outs. Trevecchi looks to the plate, but steps towards first and really puts something on it, and Will Clark just didn't handle it.
2 down in the first inning, no score. And that's hit to center for a base hit, and Tommy Herr has been waved to third, and he's in there without a throw.
Right back up the middle. Looked like it was a breaking ball, a slider. Didn't get it in as far as he wanted to, and Lindemann was ready.
So Terry Pendleton coming up, and for the Cardinals, a completely different ball game. If you remember when Trevecchi shut them down 5-0, he allowed only 2 hits, a single to Lindemann and a single to Tommy Herr in the 4th inning. And here they have 2 hits in the first inning.
It's kind of interesting. Melvin indicated watch for the bunt, and Pendleton looked like at him like as if to say, "Are you kidding?"
So 2 down, and Pendleton at the plate. Pendleton with 3 hits and 1 run batted in. One of those 3 hits, that sinking line drive that went for a triple at Candlestick Park. No balls and 1 strike. Grounded foul outside at first down the line, and so Trevecchi has things his way. No balls and 2 strikes. You know, I was thinking, we've been talking about the absence of Jack Clark for so long. If the Cardinals lose the League Championship Series without him, doesn't that make him the most valuable player? What? Well, how much more valuable can he be if they can't win without him?
That's a left-handed way of putting it, all right.
0-2. Hit down the right field line, foul, and out of play.
The interesting thing is, I asked Jack Clark myself before the game, what is the situation? His exact words: it ain't any better, it ain't any worse, it's the same. And that's been going on for 6 games now, and if they would happen to win, go to the World Series, I doubt if he'd play in that. So they've kind of misdiagnosed it.
No balls and 2 strikes to Terry Pendleton. And that's fouled away. Tommy Herr down the line from third, trying to bring home a go-ahead run. Jim Lindemann is at first. Herr has not scored a run in the series. Interestingly enough, and it's a point well taken, in 4 of the previous 5 games, the team that scored first lost. Oh, 0-2. Dave Trevecchi out of Youngstown, Ohio, pitching bare-armed in what is now a pretty cool evening. He might be the only fella out there without the long-sleeved undershirt. Letter high fastball that really exploded. 2 strikeouts for Dravecky and 2 Cardinals left. We're going to the second inning. No score in the ball game. If you joined us a little late, the Giants had a 1-out single by Mitchell, but Tudor struck out 2. And the Cardinals had 2 singles with 2 out by Herr and Lindemann, and Dravecky winds up striking out 2. So into the second inning we go. Chili Davis, followed by Will Clark, and then Bob Melvin. Chili a switch hitter. He and Uribe are the 2 switch hitters in the Giant lineup. There are 6 switch hitters in the Cardinal lineup. Both pitchers tonight, Dravecky and Tudor, share one thing in common. They both had something to do with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Dravecky was originally a Pirate draft choice, traded to San Diego and then to San Francisco. And John Tudor came to the Cardinals in a trade with Pittsburgh for George Hendrick. 1-1 to count to Chili Davis. On the corner. Tudor and Dravecky have had some great postseason moments.
Right on the corner. Perfect pitch.
Perfect pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 years ago in September, when the Cardinals were driving to the division title and ultimately to the World Series. In the month of September, when they really needed him, Tudor had 3 shutouts in a string of 31 straight scoreless innings. Then you might remember he won games 1 and 4 in the World Series, only to lose game 7. 3-2.
Tudor's another one of those pitchers who can be a little bit distracting if you're in a batter's box, because he doesn't concentrate on that plate all the time. In his windup, he'll turn away and look away, but he'll find that plate in plenty of time. But it is distracting.
Full count to Chili Davis. Strikeouts for John Tudor. Tudor's high in strikeouts this year, 7 against Philadelphia. And when you look at John Tudor, you're looking at somebody whose name is already indelibly written into the Cardinal record books. He now has the best winning percentage of any pitcher in Cardinal history, with 50 or more decisions, displacing the great Mort Cooper. 0-1. Will Clark, you might remember, homered against John Tudor, almost past Maldonado on the base path. He has hit in all 5 games. In there. Clark hitting .444. Boy, what a series he's had. Two balls, 1 strike.
They really expect Clark to pull that ball. McGee's in towards right center field, but Clark's pattern has really been to hit to the middle and to left field.
I guess they remember that home run he hit, which went right up the alley over the right field wall. And then a fan got it and threw it back on the field. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 3. So he went 3-2 to Davis, struck him out, and comes back full with Will Clark. Bob Melvin on deck.
That curveball just didn't break. Didn't break at all.
And ball 4. So with 1 out, a walk to Will Clark will bring up the catcher, Bob Melvin. Melvin, in the other Dravecky game, was 0 for 3 with an intentional walk. In those games that Dravecky has started and Melvin was the catcher, Dravecky won 5 and lost 1. And, of course, he was successful in game 2. Dravecky has turned in 3 shutouts this year. Melvin caught 2 of them, plus the League Championship Series shutout.
You saw Pena check with Whitey Herzog, taking a quick look again, because you got a combination you'd want to start maybe a play to stay away from the double play.
And that's hit to the hole. Base hit into left field as Ozzie misses it. And to second base goes Will Clark. So now the Giants are in business. First and second and one out.
They were working with Melvin during batting practice. He was standing too straight up to go down into the ball. He certainly got down into that one. Ozzie Smith gave it a good effort, but it's a base hit into left field.
And with runners at first and second and one out in the second inning, Jose Uribe coming up. Uribe went 1 for 4 against Tudor in game 2. He had a double. He also hit the ground ball with the bases loaded in the 8th inning of that game. The ball going through Ozzie Smith's legs, good for 2 additional runs. Uribe followed by Dave Dravecky. One ball, no strikes.
And then there's no doubt they moved him closer to the plate. Remember how we talked about how he couldn't cover the plate? He can certainly cover it now with it.
It was amazing how far away from the plate he was. You can see his right foot as he checks in, and he has really moved up on it now. One ball and no strikes to Jose Uribe, an ex-Cardinal. Back up to Ozzie. Way out in front, cued that off the end of the bat right into the Cardinal dugout.
One other thing it does, as Tommy Hurt comes in to talk to Tudor, is when Uribe moves up like that, he's really trying to take away that outside pitch, and it's up to the pitcher to jam him inside. If you feel like you're quick enough, okay. But you're really looking to take away that outside pitch.
So Uribe with the count 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 on, 1 out. Second inning, no score. Wouldn't chase it. 2-1. Tudor with 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, and he's allowed 2 hits. Little pop foul off to the right, out of play. On deck is pitcher Dave Dravecky. If you were with us when Dravecky pitched in game 2, remember when they sent him back because of the white undershirt that he had on, and he went back, took his shirt off, and put a black undershirt on, and it would appear to be that's the same black tonight. No long sleeves. He had a chain and a medal around his neck in game 2, but he's not wearing that.
Who doesn't these days? They all look like Mr. T starter sets.
2-2, the count to Jose Uribe. And that's hit to left center field, racing over McGee to flag it. Oh, what a big play.
When you talk about building a ball club for a ballpark, that's what they're talking about. McGee can cut the gap in center field. Coleman in left field with great speed. It's not just the stolen bases. When you talk about Cardinal speed, it's plays like that saved an extra base hit, 2 runs in the big inning.
So Willie McGee, who was a questionable starter because of the painful left wrist and sore thumb, finally opted to give it a try, and boy, did they need that gold glove out there on that play. So McGee runs it down, 2 out, runners at first and second, and Dave Dravecky at the plate. Dravecky in his other start went 1 for 4. He singled off Tudor's glove. Ball 1.
That was one of the things that Whitey was so confident when he got Tudor. He said if he pitched inside in Fenway, and then he's not going to have to worry too much because we got a great shortstop and good defense in the outfield, and brother McGee just showed it.
1 ball and no strikes the count. Way outside. So Whitey Herzog sweating a little bit on a cool night as he just dodged a bullet on that great running catch by McGee And now his pitcher falls behind to the opposition. 2 balls and no strikes to Dravecky. And Tudor has made 20 pitches in the inning. And Rogers still waiting to put something on the board. 2-0. On that corner. John Tudor, born in Schenectady, New York. He's 33 years old. Way outside, and he's a little annoyed with himself now. Going 3-1 to his opposite number, so he'll try a new ball.
Man, there's no tougher critic than John Tudor on himself. I'll tell you, he really was disgusted with that one. He's one of those guys who talks to himself a little bit. He's regrouping right now because he knows that was a bad pitch.
3 balls and 1 strike to Dravecky. On deck, Robbie Thompson, the second baseman. 2 on, 2 out. Second inning, no score. Ground ball to Lindemann. He'll take it to the bag. No runs, 1 hit. And thanks to Willie McGee, 2 left. And at the end of an inning and a half, no score.
But that's another change that I see in baseball. Letting pitchers hit 3-1. You got guys on base, and you got your leadoff man coming up, and I think his average was 143, so he can't be that big a hitter.
And you know, when you look back, you find out he strikes out half the time. If he took strike 2, you then have the runners going and maybe get a break. So that's quite a gamble, and the numbers didn't figure that the gamble would pay off.
Agreed. Jeff Leonard talking to the umpire, Greg. He's come in. He must be throwing things out there, and that's unfortunate.
Yep. I was afraid. I tell you one thing, I'm surprised he's not wearing a helmet, because it is a wise outfielder, particularly under these circumstances, who would go out there wearing a helmet and not that normal cap.
They're going to come in and show the plate umpire, Bob Engel. I don't know what they threw at him, and here comes Pallone.
Bob Engel.
Batteries, man? Can you see?
No, it's hard to say, but it might be. It was certainly big enough to be a battery. Assault and battery is what it might be. Now we get a report it was a cowbell.
There was a reference to St. Louis as a cow town. And they said they were going to bring a cow, so they brought the cowbell.
I think Bob Engel is talking to the press box for the public address announcer to please ask the crowd not to throw things down onto the field. If you're old enough, or if you're a historian, there's the cowbell, all right. You can remember the Cardinals and Detroit and Ducky Medwick and all the garbage and stuff coming out of the stands.
I asked the great Hall of Famer Joe Medwick how he felt about it. He said it didn't bother him so much that they threw it, but why did they bring it in the first place?
Well, you can see the fans, right? You got your binoculars, your scorebook, your pencil, your garbage.
That's right. A little salad bar right there.
Bottom of the second inning, and it'll be Tony Pena, followed by Willie McGee and Jose Oquendo. Pena has moved up a notch in the lineup to hit 6, and he has been hitting the ball sharply of late, hitting .357. He has 5 hits. So each side has threatened the Giants, leaving 3 in the first 2 innings, and the Cardinals left 2 in the first inning. One ball, no strikes. In there. Tony Pena, who hit about .210 but has come alive, and Dave Dravecky trying to shut him down. There were a lot of reasons why the Giants traded for Dravecky, but one of them certainly is under the heading, if you can't beat him, join him. He was wearing the Giants out 10-4 in his career, and last year his earned run average against the Giants was less than a run. So they dealt for him. 1-2.
That's an interesting pitch, that backdoor slider. You can see the hitter give up because he starts it way out in the zone, and it's a real tough pitch to hang in there. You think it's going to be a ball. On the hands, and he got around quickly to pull it foul into the left field corner.
Still 1-2, and he'll have to get another bat. So that's number 1. Remember, we were talking about broken bats, 5 in game 2. That's the first one of the night. Do you have a category in your scorebook for broken bats?
With Trevecchi, you have to have. I think it's really a simple yardstick to use. Forget his backdoor slider and good stuff. If he breaks bats, he's got it. If he doesn't, forget it.
So Pena is the first victim. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Time called. John Kibler, the first base umpire, is watching the second base umpire, Ed Montague, and Ed Montague is running out into left field, and he is retrieving something. Montague has a hobby, and he's a very clever magician, and he's going to make that disappear. And then he seems to gesture as if to say it's nothing. 1 ball and 2 strikes. However, John Kibler and Bob Engel have another meeting halfway between home and first. One and 2 to Pena, followed by McGee and Oquendo. No score, bottom of the second, and a rather stormy beginning. Foul back.
With a guy like Trevecchi, you can really set up your defense. Mitchell is back. Uribe, they're protecting the hole. A lot of room up the middle. You stack the defense a certain way, it's up to the pitcher to make him hit that way. And Trevecchi does a pretty good job of doing that.
1 and 2. And that's driven to right. Moving in for it is Maldonado. And you think slipped. I don't think it was the case of trying to get under the lights. And Pena is on his way to third. That did not appear to be the same play as in San Francisco, but it's the same result.
Pena really reached out. Now watch Maldonado. He's got a bead on it. He did slip, I believe, Ben.
Yeah, that area sitting up here, if you look out at the AstroTurf, where Maldonado is a very damp, darker green. The rest of the AstroTurf is a very pale green. And I have to believe that it was more of a slip than anything else on the wet turf. It is a triple for Pena, and with nobody out, McGee, Oquendo, and Tudor trying to pick him up. Chopper to third. Mitchell holding, throws him out.
And Pena with 2 strikes, widen his zone. He's a hacker. He swings, and he punched that ball into right field, and they got a big break. But McGee was the big man to pick him up, but that wrist must be bothering him.
Here's an interesting confrontation now. This is a game within a game. Jose Oquendo had a half a dozen sacrifices. The only thing, all 6 were as a left-handed batter. So we lay that on the table in case you're thinking about the possibility of a squeeze. And remember, the 8th place hitters for the Cardinals throughout the series have given the Giants a bad time, hitting over 450. Infield is up. Ball 1. Oquendo looking to Leyva, who is looking into the Cardinal dugout.
Leyva way out in that box trying to find Whitey Herzog, and you see Melvin looking at his manager, Roger Craig, who calls all the pitch outs.
So would they have him try to squeeze as a right-handed batter when all of his sacrifices this year have been left-handed? Fly ball to right field and pretty shallow to the line. Maldonado makes the catch, and Pena is going to come. The throw to the plate. He is safe.
That's a play Maldonado has to make. Now he runs into foul territory. He's running away from home plate, but his throw was up the third base line. Now he makes the play, braces himself, and really his throw is not a good throw because it's too far up the line, and Melvin has to go get it, and by that time Pena gets around him. If it's towards the plate, that ball is there in plenty of time. That was not a good throw.
They throw to third to appeal, and third base umpire Dave Pallone said no good. And again, time called as something came out of the left field stands, and obviously we're going to have that problem all night, unfortunately. Here's Tony Pena tagging and digging, and as Maldonado's throw tails up the line a bit, he just did get around Melvin.
I'm surprised he was watching the play as much as he did. You saw him look. Now he gets around Melvin. Melvin had the ball in plenty of time, but he was too far up the line.
The public address announcer making the announcement that city ordinance prohibits the fans throwing things on the field. So with 2 down and a run in, the Cardinals leading the Giants 1-0. And now, of course, we will see if it stands up or not. The team that has scored first has lost 4 of the 5 games in the series.
And Vin, it's as old as the game. You can bet somebody said to Tudor, there's your lead, pal. Hold it.
Yep. And again, you look out to that right field area, and apparently from high atop the stands looking down to right field, you can see, as you look at the AstroTurf, there is a definite difference in shading and colors. Very wet area out there. Why it is so wet out there and not other areas, I don't know. Left field is bone dry.
It goes pretty far, too.
Tudor goes too far around. 1 run, 1 hit, nobody left. And at the end of 2, 1-0 Cardinals. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. The 1987 National League Championship Series is brought. Cardinals leading 1-0 as we go to the 3rd inning. Bob Engel, a plate umpire, talking to Whitey Herzog, perhaps about things coming out of the stands. Not very much Whitey can do about that. By the way, just to conclude the thought on that damp area in right and right center field, the Cardinal football team played the New Orleans Saints here on Sunday, and there is an aftermath to the game. 4-1. The game, they spray the whole field, we're understood, with chemicals, and right field and right center doesn't really get enough sun, so it is still wet. 1 ball and no strikes to Robbie Thompson. Robbie struck out in the 1st inning. Tudor barely got out of the 2nd inning. A running catch by McGee, and he went 3-1 to Drevecki. Now he starts off 2-0 with Thompson in there. Two balls, 1 strike. And that was a pretty good fastball.
High fastball, and he just stood right by him. He did it to Thompson, if you remember, in that 1st inning when he struck him out. Picks that ball up and even out over the plate.
2-2. Ball 3. So that little sinker on which he relies a great deal, and Robbie Thompson would not chase it. Fouled away. Three and 2 to Robbie Thompson. When he struck out in the 1st inning, remember, he was way out in front of a changeup that was clocked in the 70s. And he walked him. So John Tudor fighting his control. He has walked 2. But falling behind to Drevecki, he just did make it. And now he has Mitchell, Leonard, and Maldonado. Mitchell singled to center in the 1st inning. So strong. Got a pitch inside on the hands and not only fought it off, but had enough strength to push it into center field. Thompson at first, nobody out.
He's the first base runner to at least get 1 foot on the artificial surface. Everybody else has been right at the tip, but he gets 1 foot out there on it.
Robbie stole 16 bases during the regular year. And one of the interesting upsets in the series thus far, the fact that the Giants have stolen 5 bases and the Cardinals only 2. 1 ball, no strikes. Tudor came awfully close, about as close as you can come and still come up empty, to picking off Kevin Mitchell in the first inning. And the runner going on a pitch out that's hit foul. So Mitchell went out after it and fouled it away.
I tell you, that can't be that good a pitch out if you can put the bat on it. See how far out it is. Too close. It's coming in, and Mitchell does a good job of getting that bat on the ball. The pitch out should be where they can't handle it at all and throw the bat at the ball. Mitchell did a real good job.
And how he just about came off the ground. I think both feet.
I think he did.
Yeah.
The pitch out has to be out to where if they really hold on, they go across the plate, and they can't do that.
1-1 to count to Kevin Mitchell. Robbie Thompson at first. We're in the top of the third, and the Cardinals leading the Giants 1-0. Nobody out.
Both these managers in control. I'll tell you, both catchers after the game can go in and get a rub on their neck.
Roger on the offense right now. Whitey on the defense. 1-1. As Mitchell looks down to Don Zimmer, and so does Robbie Thompson, so did Tony Pena. One run, 3 hits for the Cardinals. No runs, 2 hits for the Giants.
Not putting that good a move on him to keep throwing over like that.
Maybe that's a commercial move to lull him a little bit. Boy, Pena was studying Zimmer again just as hard as Mitchell was. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You remember they got that play, first move, go.
There he goes on a pitch out. Pena in the dirt to Ozzie Smith. They got him anyway.
You have to give Ozzie Smith a lot of credit. Pena's throw was a one-hopper, and Ozzie hangs in there. Once again, they go out, way out there this time. He had a good ball in the handle. Ozzie hangs right in there.
Whoa.
I tell you, he looks safe to me on that angle.
The tag appears to be up around the hip, while the foot is just about at the bag, but Ed Montague was right there to spot it.
He screened me on that one, Montague.
Well, we have 1 away, and the count 3-1 to Kevin Mitchell. Tudor getting kind of mixed up now. Here comes Whitey Herzog. He wants to check the count, I think. Remember, the 1 pitch out he fouled away.
That's what he's arguing about, is the pitch out.
Yeah. 3-1. So the count stays. 3 balls, 1 strike. Whitey, I'm sure, thought it was 2-2. One nothing Cardinals, top of the third. Fouled away. So a full count.
Tell you, Pena had a good ball on that pitch out the handle. There's the throw to Ozzie. Stays right in there. His foot looks like he gets there ahead of the tag because the tag is about chest high.
3-2 to Kevin Mitchell. High pop fly on the right side. Lindemann in foul ground. Needless to say, here is Jeffrey Leonard. Ball one. Leonard struck out in the first inning. Look at that side. Okay, I give up. Went in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes. Ball two. Whew. Two down, top of the third. 1-0 Cardinals. On the corner.
Why would you want to do anything to get this kind of reaction?
I don't know. He wanted them. I mean, he baited them.
He
They're on him.
And they came through for him.
2-1. Foul ball. I've heard so many ball players say that they're never aware of the crowd. They never hear the crowd. And in a case like this, I got to say, oh, really?
That's right. And I'll tell you something. You show me a ball player who doesn't hear the crowd, and he's not a ball player. They hear it all right.
And the chant, Jeffrey. Little foul, still 2-2. Who needs a hack man? We got Jack, man. To Leonard, who chased a changeup in the first inning. I'm sure for tonight and in this particular moment, he must feel like it is himself against the world as Jeffrey Leonard took his position in left field. This entire ballpark verbally let him have it. Waving towels, holding signs, chanting his name, but fortunately not throwing anything. We hope that's gone. In the bottom of the third inning with the Cardinals leading the Giants 1-0. It'll be Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, and Tommy Herr against Dave Dravecky. A half a dozen hits in the series, but all as a left-handed batter. He is 0 for 9 batting right-handed. 0-1. And that's foul back out of play. One and one to Vince Coleman. Trying to get something started. He grounded to short in the first inning. In there nicely. 1-2.
Coleman's not sure of that pitch at all. And once again, it's the one he starts out of the zone and it breaks over to catch the outside corner.
The only run in the game, Candy Maldonado either slipping in the wet turf or fighting the lights. Had a ball sail over his head for a triple, and Oquenda's fly ball got him home. Chopper to short. Uribe. Good play because he was just about caught between hops, but he timed it perfectly. That run that the Cardinals got in the second inning is the first run that Dravecky has allowed in postseason play. Going back to 1984, he had a string of a little better than 21 innings. Finally go down a drain, and it took a play in right field to do that. Ozzie struck out in the first inning. 0-1. Little foul behind the plate and out of play, and the count 0-2.
The more you see this Uribe, the more you like him. That was not really, that was a tough play.
Yep. In fact, I had the feeling the crowd sensed that he was caught in between hops and it was going to be a difficult play, and bingo. And that's line to left, but Leonard is coming up to make the catch. 2 down. Tommy Herr, the batter, single to right field in the first inning. That was followed by a base hit by Lindeman, and then Pendleton with first and third struck out. Cardinals 1, Giants nothing, bottom of the third, game 6. Cardinals trying to keep their heads above water and stay alive. The Giants trying to finish them off. One and 0. Kevin Mitchell playing right at the bag for Tommy Herr. 2-0. So Mitchell shortens up, maybe 5 feet off the bag. Everyone else normal stands.
It's kind of interesting because Herr doesn't have that kind of speed. I don't remember him bunting that much. Why would he give up that much territory?
2 balls, no strikes. In there. Slider down around the knees. 2-1. Dave Drabecki, 31 years old, born in Youngstown. In there again. 2-2.
Boy, he's got good control of that pitch. It's a hard slider, and he has really been pinpointing it.
Drabecki has 3 strikeouts. He had a career high of 11 last year. And that's hit foul down the right field line, out of play. Interesting, the fortunes of a player. In 1984, fate would have it that Drabecki would be pitching for San Diego and clinch the division by beating San Francisco. He picked up his first major league victory 5 years ago against San Francisco. Ball 3. Full count to Tommy Herr with Jim Lindeman on deck. That's hit down the right field line, foul, back into the crowd. Clark over to take a look, and that's about it. So still 3-2 to Tommy Herr. 1 run, 3 hits for St. Louis. No runs, 2 hits for San Francisco. Roger Craig wants to go to Minnesota in the first game Saturday, but so does Whitey Herzog. Fouled away again.
Keeps going the opposite field. He's waiting on that ball in that outside part of plate, not trying to pull it.
Remember, his hit in the first inning was a single to right. And he pulls it to left. Base hit. So after going the other way, having already singled the other way, Tommy Herr lines it to left. And with 2 out, the batter is Jim Lindeman, who had one of the 2 hits against Drabecki in game 2 and singled his first trip in the first inning tonight. Lindeman, the proud possessor of the only Cardinal home run. He hit it to right center field at Candlestick Park.
He's got to go for the long one because you got that man on first. You need the extra base hit to knock him in, and Cardinals don't have that much firepower, but batting Lindeman fourth, they expect it from him.
This a much tougher ballpark than Candlestick, where it is 400 to straightaway center in Candlestick Park. It's 414 here. And the power alleys 383 and falling away. A very knowledgeable base stealer, too. He has stolen 19 of 23 during the regular year. Drebecki trying to hold him there, and he's really on the rug now.
Good throw over there. Holding him.
So Tommy Herr establishing that lead that time. His right foot was a good 1 foot in on the rug, and that's usually too much of a lead for most pitchers.
And Drebecki just held that ball, and what that does is just take the spring right out of your legs.
See if his right foot gets on the rug again. Barely on it. He hasn't increased it. No, that's not as big as the last time, and yet he drives him back.
Drebecki knows what he has to do out there to keep those base runners close. He'll throw over there, or he'll just hold that ball. He'll have different rhythms as far as coming to the plate.
0-2 the count. Jim Lindemann followed by Terry Pendleton. 2 out. 1-2. Hurd does not have the lead that he had 2 pitches ago. That's the biggest lead he has had thus far. Cardinals 1, Giants nothing. Bottom of the 3rd, 2 away. Conscious that Herr is a good base runner, and either freezing and holding him or driving him back, trying to change his rhythm.
And keep in mind that Roger Craig calls all those throws over there, so really it takes the pressure off the pitcher when to go over there, because he's got another guy watching him, namely the manager.
And there's a drive to left, but Leonard will handle it. And that's that. No runs, 1 hit, a man left at the end of 3. 1-0 Cardinals. Here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment. Leading the Giants 1-0 at the end of 3. Right now, the big story has to be the crowd and the hack man, Jeffrey Leonard.
I can't understand why he'd want that kind of reaction. I really feel it has to bother him, and I just wonder about the other players breaking their concentration. It's unnecessary and it's uncalled for.
I would certainly think that it would bother his concentration, and even though he is a professional, he might actually fall into the amateurish thing of trying too hard.
Well, he's got to be trying to. I'm going to show them what I can do, and that's not being yourself.
So that's the game within the game, and we'll find out more about Jeffrey Leonard in Game 6 of the LCS. Let's take a look. John Tudor tuning up and getting ready. Leading 1-0 in the 4th. Andy Maldonado will be followed by Chili Davis and then Will Clark. Maldonado flied to center in the 1st inning, and he's been vitally involved in the game on the ball hit by Tony Pena in the 2nd inning, where he either slipped or tried to slide to see the ball from a better angle under the lights. And there was a definite deja vu about it. The same thing happened to him with Tony Pendleton at Candlestick Park. Way out in front. 0-1. Andy hitting .235. He's had 4 hits in the series. One and 1. 1 run, 4 hits for the Cardinals. No runs, 2 hits for the Giants. That's the strike. They have each stranded 3. John Tudor has 4 strikeouts, allowed 2 hits and 2 walks. 1-2. Tudor facing Maldonado, then Davis and Clark, trying to get it done with sinkers, changes, and occasional fastball. Fouled away.
The important thing is where he's spotting that ball. His location, I would have to feel, is exactly where he really wants it, because he's been on that low outside corner. That's been his neighborhood.
He's been nibbling. He's had 4 3-2 counts. And there's a fly ball into left center. McGee, with the ball hooking on him, is still able to catch up to it. And it was Millie McGee's play on Jose Uribe in the second inning. That is the defensive standout so far tonight.
I tell you, when you talk about speed, much like Ricky Henderson, he can take a triple and turn it into an out, and on base he can take a walk and turn it into a triple.
So Willie McGee holds one down, and the batter is Chili Davis, who struck out in the second inning. Chili has 3 hits in the series, hitting .231. One ball and no strikes. So after changing up and nibbling here, every now and then he turns one loose.
He keeps you honest. The oversimplification of pitching is keeping the hitter off stride, which is what Tudor has done. But again, he spotted it well.
1 ball, 1 strike. I think if anybody fulfilled the definition of poker faced, it's John Tudor. Ball 2. The way he stares into the hitter. Deep in thought. 2-1. Has he got 3 aces?
Just told you no.
2-1 to Chili.
Keeping that ball away. Inside it's a home run, outside it's a single. He is really spotting it well.
Chili, with that closed stance, really stays in there. You'd think he can handle that pitch away because he's not opening up as if he's trying to pull it. Fisted off first base. Lindemann is there.
That's the pitch that sold Whitey Herzog on Tudor. You do that in Fenway Park, that shows the kind of confidence you have with that short left field fence. And Whitey figures if he does it in a small ballpark, I put him in a big ballpark and give him Ozzie Smith and Willie McGee, and I got myself a pitcher, and he was right.
Classic case, wasn't it? He gave him that pitch away. Yep. Chili driving into it, fouled it off, came right in on the hands, and Chili kind of jammed himself. So 2 down, and Will Clark the batter. One ball and no strikes. Clark going head-to-head with Tudor is 2 for 3, and he has walked twice, once tonight. Will has hit in all 5. Boy, that thing really sailed. 2 balls and no strikes. On deck, Bob Melvin. It could be, just as during the course of the year, we've seen teams pitch around Jack Clark. Tudor might very well be pitching around Will Clark to go head-to-head more with Bob Melvin.
Well, with 2 outs here, I think I'd go after him.
High strike up around the letters. 2-1. Will hitting .444 with 8 hits.
And you saw with that center field shot that Mr. Tudor is calling his own game. Pena wanted a curveball. He shook him off to come back with the fastball. So he got the fastball by Davis, and now he's showing Clark a pretty good one.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him looking. John Tudor. 1-0 St. Louis. Bottom of the 4th inning. The Cardinals leading the Giants 1-0. Terry Pendleton, Tony Pena, and Willie McGee. Pendleton struck out in the 1st inning, leaving runners at 1st and 3rd. Hitting 188 with 3 hits in the series. Strike. And Mitchell again playing right at the bag. 0-2.
That's the fastball that he chased to strike out. Looks like it's out of the zone.
Now with 2 strikes, you can see Mitchell backing off. No balls, 2 strikes. On deck, Tony Pena, who hit the triple in the 2nd inning. And we're going to look at it again because we've looked at the replay now a bunch of times. We really aren't sure. And we're now starting to think maybe Maldonado lost it in the lights. Fly ball down the line, foul out of play. So when Pena comes up, we'll show it to you again. 1-0 Cardinals, bottom of the 4th. Indication it is cool. Pitchers are allowed to go to their mouths tonight. Oh, that was a tough pitch to take.
Oh, when you take a pitch like that, you're just completely fooled. You're just completely fooled, and you take it and you try to be cool and say, oh, I knew it all along. No, that's too close to take, but it was a ball.
So Pendleton strikes out for his 2nd time. That's the 4th strikeout for Dave Dravecky. Now here comes Tony Pena. So let's take another look at Maldonado. It certainly doesn't look now that he slipped. It looks like he was starting to go into a slide, and I would have to guess it was to get a better angle on the light towers atop the roof. Strange that he would be hit by lightning twice on the same play in 2 different ballparks. One ball and no strikes to Tony Pena. Pena with the triple, tagged up and barely got in around Bob Melvin for the only run of the game. One ball and 1 strike. Tony hitting .400 with a half a dozen hits in his 15 at-bats. Willie McGee, who has made the big defensive play to keep the Cardinals out in front. McGee on deck. Chopper foul. 1-2. Those are the lights almost directly above 3rd base. If you're the right fielder and the ball comes off the bat and gets up there, you then want to get underneath the lights to pick it up. And Maldonado has tried twice and come up empty each time. 2-2. One nothing Cardinals, bottom of the 4th.
There are many ways you can shake off the catchers. Sometimes you just keep staring in. Sometimes you use your glove. You also use that to add to it. I always like when pitchers did what Dravecky did. Not only shake it off, but almost with disdain, like, yes, hey, I know what I want to throw, Charlie.
When Billy Pierce came to the Giants from the White Sox, he brought over that brush where you would increase the sign in the pitchers. Instead of shaking your head at any time, you just brush your uniform. Big balloon, that changed. 3-2.
I don't think that adds any doubt in the hitter's mind when you add, because he's saying, well, that's their business. But when you shake it off, he starts to think, now, what is he going to throw me?
3-2 to Pena. You looking fastball? And it's a comebacker. That's what he got. Pena was looking for it, and a good play by Dravecky. Two down in the fourth.
Trevecki's a good athlete. Now watch his follow through. He's ready to field that ball. He gets it, and then he's going to wave everybody off, and there it is. And look at this look. Nah, man, I know what I want to throw.
No way.
Oh, I love that kind of a look. That's a Youngstown look.
Willie McGee chasing one. And Willie was swinging, and it looked like he was looking out to right field as if he was just groping and guessing for the ball.
Well, I tell you, he chases that ball a lot. It's a breaking ball out of the strike zone.
I guess one of the surprises for me, certainly when the Cardinals were at Candlestick Park with the thick grass, knowing that he has a bad wrist, I'm still surprised he didn't try to bunt even once.
Nobody tried it.
No? Here's another story, and of course he has 2 strikes on him. And down he goes. 5 strikeouts, so each left-hander with 5. At the end of 4, 1-0 Cardinals. Will be back after these messages from your local station.
A perfect murder.
Making skin flicks becomes a deadly business when a director commits murder on film. Look at it! Friday.
Friends, this telecast, presented by authority of Major League Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. There's Danny Cox. A reminder, if there will be a 7th game, Danny Cox would be the starting pitcher for the Cardinals against Atlee Hammaker. If there is a 7th. There is a 5th inning, 1-0 Cardinals. Bob Melvin, Jose Uribe, and Dave Dravecky. The 2 left-handers have been magnificent, each with 5 strikeouts. And bang to center, so Melvin is 2 for 2.
Tudor, with that pitch, has made 74 pitches, and you have to assume that was a strike, so it'd be 43 strikes, 31 balls.
And 20-some-odd pitches I know he made back in the 2nd inning. That was his toughest inning of the night. 23 to be exact. So Jose Uribe checking with Don Zimmer. The pitcher to follow.
Whitey Herzog has been correct on 2 pitch outs, and Pena checking with him.
Now, just to check what they did during the regular year, Melvin did not steal a base. He was 0 for 4. Uribe, pretty much of a contact hitter. So if there's any kind of a play, it has to be a hit and run.
That lead that Melvin's got is going to be a job to pick him off.
1-0 St. Louis, top of the 5th. Dravecky on deck. One ball and no strikes. Uribe had a good look at Zimmer.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of wheel spinning. Pena's taken 2 looks at Herzog. It might be just on general principles you pitch out. And that tells you something. I tell you got to look for something to happen with Melvin on at first base and Uribe in that batter's box.
One ball, no strikes. Well, they're not thinking pitch out if they're driving him back, that's for sure.
You want him to throw the ball when you have the pitch out play on. Just hold him close and give the catcher a chance.
Uribe very handy with the bat all year long. Cardinals 1, Giants nothing, top of the 5th, nobody out. Melvin at first. 1-0 the count to Uribe. And that that's going to be hit into left center for the base hit. Melvin to second and holding. And now Dravecky will come up first and second and nobody out.
Uribe sends it right back up the middle. Until they moved him up on the plate, he can handle that outside pitch. And now the Cardinals are having a meeting. Got enough guys out there to split the shares. And Dravecky checking with Zimmer. And there's Pena checking into the Giant dugout, see if he could see something. But I don't know what he could be looking for there.
Don Zimmer, a quick chat with Dave Dravecky, just a word or two. The word might be bunt. We'll see. He sacrificed 4 times during the regular year.
I would be almost sure it's bunt, Vin. It might be, hey, if they charge you too hard, look for me to switch something off, because you've got to be bunting.
Jim Lindemann is the first baseman. Terry Pendleton will have to make a split-second decision as to come or go back to the bag. And that's a strike. 0-1.
They got to play on with Ozzie Smith going over to third and Pendleton and Lindemann charging hard, and Hurd going over to first base, which leaves the middle of that diamond wide open. Any kind of a tap of the bat on that ball, and that ball's going to get through there.
The bunt is on, and a strike is taken. 0-2.
You can see why they've used that play, because Melvin doesn't have any kind of speed at all, and Ozzie Smith breaking over there. Dravecky thought that ball was inside.
No balls and 2 strikes. Well, in game 4, in what appeared to be a bunt situation, Greg Matthews singled. Now Dravecky up there 0-2. We'll see if they keep the bunt on with 2 strikes. Lindemann and Pendleton ready to come, and time call by Bob Engel. Requested by Dravecky. 0-2. On deck, Robbie Thompson. And he got the bunt down, and he laid a poached egg, and the throw is just in time. And there'll be an argument.
Melvin did not get a good jump off second base. We talked about his lack of speed. Zimmer thought he was there. Here comes Craig. It was a beautiful bunt. He deadened that ball just perfectly.
He was safe, says Zimmer. He was safe. Don't get thrown out, Bob Engel said. Don't get thrown out. So the plate umpire is trying to counsel the third base coach. Now John Kibler, the first base umpire, trying to keep Don Zimmer in the game. So Bob Melvin is out on what appeared to be a great bunt. He just laid it dead with a little backspin.
On that play, I'd have to say he was out.
Yeah, Dave Pallone, the third base umpire, right there. He had the best view in the house.
And Pendleton didn't hesitate. He was going to go to third.
Pena hollered to him to go to third.
He was going to go no other place. He got him.
A good call. First and second, 1 out. And Robbie Thompson, the batter. Thompson struck out and walked. 0 for 1. He has 2 hits in 17 at-bats. One of the 2 hits a home run. Now you have Uribe at second, Dravecky at first with 1 away. Dravecky at first, Uribe at second, 1 out in the 5th, 1-0 St. Louis.
Uribe's getting a good lead off second base. Contrast to Melvin, who had hardly any lead off second. He with 2 strikes.
Uribe has 1 stolen base in the series. Hit in the air to McGee. Uribe goes to the bag to tag, but just to draw a throw. That shows you how big that play at third base was. Instead of bases loaded, nobody out with a fly ball gets the tying run home, Whitey now has 2 out with runners at first and second.
With good pitching goes good defense, and Tudor certainly has been a fine pitcher, and the 2 defensive plays that he needed, he got. He got one from Willie McGee on the ball hit by Uribe in that second inning, and on this bunt play, Pendleton and Ozzie Smith.
So Kevin Mitchell coming up. He has singled to center and fouled out to Jim Lindemann. Mitchell followed by Leonard. Time.
Well, that was a case of not shaking him off by shaking your head, but just staring him down. Tudor, he's very definite as to what he wants to throw, and that's the way it should be.
Went right after him. 0-1.
Kevin was looking for that ball on the outside part of the plate, and Tudor came in with a fastball. You're not going to register much on the radar gun with his fastball, but the way he's using it and spotting it is very difficult.
No balls and 1 strike. And another.
He keeps looking for that ball outside, and he's not getting it.
0-2 to Kevin Mitchell. 2 on, 2 out in the 5th. Cardinals 1, Giants nothing. And they're on their feet at Busch Stadium. High fly ball into left center. McGee calling and puts it away. The play at third has changed the inning and maybe the game. And at the end of 4½, 1-0 St. Louis. Don Zimmer, a case in study. Zimmer, who as a minor leaguer was perhaps the brightest young prospect in the Brooklyn Dodger chain at the time, a power-hitting shortstop, severely beamed, and he was honored by the Dodgers and by baseball. He was allowed to wear a Dodger uniform and sit in the dugout, although he could not really speak. Well, he is wearing a Giant uniform now, and is really speaking on that play at third base.
He really goes after Pallone because he believes that he was safe. And I tell you, he's a spirited little guy. As a coach, very aggressive. He'll send you in, and you see, we've seen him in this series be 4 or 5 feet from home plate, waving those runners in.
Bottom of the 5th inning, 1-0 Cardinals. Jose Aquindo, John Tudor, and then Vince Coleman. 0-1. Aquindo hit the fly ball down the right field line. Maldonado charged, caught it, threw up the line to third, and Pena squeaked by for the only run of the game. That's hit just foul. Foul ball.
Dave Pallone has had 2 tough plays back-to-back.
So Aquindo just missed hitting that thing over the bag, but it went foul down into the bullpen, and the count 1-1.
It's by Mitchell. It looked like it's going to be a fair ball, but Pallone right on that line. There you see him. No hesitation. Foul ball.
He made a couple of good plays when he was the third base umpire, the plate umpire.
The other day, yeah.
One on a ball hit up along third. He ruled foul immediately. The other was the big play where the runner was running inside the first base foul line.
Ozzie Smith.
2-1 to Aquindo. Fouled away. 2-2. Dave Dravecky and John Tudor. 1-0 St. Louis in the 5th inning. 3-2 to Aquindo. strikeout number 6 for Dave Dravecky. He has now struck out 3 of the last 4 batters he's faced.
Got that old-fashioned pitcher's duel. The defensive play that was not made is what's hurt Dravecky so far. And there's that high fastball they can't lay off, and he picks up strikeout number 6.
Interesting thing, too, about Dravecky is he works on John Tudor. Tudor struck out in the 2nd inning. Remember when Dravecky pitched the 5-0 shutout, his only problem, he walked the leadoff man in 4 different innings. He has struck out the leadoff man the last 2 innings. Fouled away, 0-2. John Tudor has had 2 tough innings. In the 2nd, saved by McGee, and in the 5th, saved on the play by Pendleton to Smith. So that becomes strikeout number 7. That's 3 consecutive strikeouts, and 4 of the last 5 hitters he's faced, Davis struck him out. And Vince Coleman coming up. Boy, look at those numbers. 13 innings, 13 strikeouts.
And that earned run is a bit tainted.
Whatever happened with Candy Maldonado, we can only assume that for the 2nd time in the series, he lost the ball in the lights. Vince Coleman has played pepper with Jose Uribe. Twice he has grounded to short. Hop foul off to the right. Melvin, a late start, but it will not make any difference. It's in the stands. 0-1. For Coleman, he has been completely shut down against left-hand pitching, and that means a great deal to the Cardinal attack. Coleman is 0 for 10 against left-hand pitching, and they can't go very far without him. Going into the game, we told you the switch hitters turning to hit right-handed against left-hand pitching. The Cardinal switch hitters have hit 140, and the entire team had hit 169 against left-handers. No balls, 1 strike. 1-1.
Nothing else. That fake bunt pulls Mitchell in a couple steps.
On the corner, 1-2. Dravecky has retired the last 6 in a row since the single by Tommy Herr. Strikes out the side. That gives him 8 strikeouts in the game. He has struck out 4 in a row, and it is 1-0 St. Louis.
He's trying to drum it up. That's good stuff.
Dave Dravecky really pumped up. He has struck out 5 of the last 6, and he was cheerleading his team to come on, let's go. And Jeffrey Leonard will be first man up. Leonard has struck out twice, much to the delight of this large crowd. Almost to show their allegiance, there is a small island of San Francisco fandom just beyond the giant dugout, and Leonard got a standing ovation from those people in the VIP boxes. And he answers with a base hit to left field. And again, the crowd is up. The leader of the pack is the owner, Bob Lurie. There they are, and Mr. Lurie in the lower right-hand corner along with his wife, Connie. There's Bob and Connie Lurie. So Leonard is aboard, and Maldonado the batter, followed by Chili Davis. John Tudor is getting into a dangerous area. Tudor is a little bit like Danny Cox. If you count his pitches, he gets to a certain area and then trouble. Well, you can see 90 pitches is his bottom line, and he has now made 88, surrendering a base hit along the way. 0-1. Leonard stole 16 bases during the regular year. So Maldonado has hit 2 fly balls to center. 1-0 Cardinals, top of the 6th inning.
Leonard gets out there. I mean, he's challenging Tudor. So he's so pumped up. I mean, that adrenaline is really flowing. He wants to do it all.
Right foot on the rug. The Giants might put a play on in the sense if there is one shortcoming to Maldonado's game, he is not a fast runner. So we'll see if Roger decides to try and force the issue with a hit and run play. And he pops it in the air, foul, but no play. It'll be in the crowd behind the Cardinal dugout. 0-2.
I tell you, if you were catching, Vin, you'd think up to 2 strikes, you'd let Maldonado swing. Now I think you have to really start spinning your wheels and saying, I'm looking for everything because of the way Tudor and Drevecki are going at it.
1 run, 4 hits for St. Louis. No runs, 5 hits for the Giants. Tudor has struck out 5. Drevecki has struck out 8. And that's hit foul down the right field line, out of play, and it's still 0-2.
I tell you, I just can't get over how both these managers just control everything. Pena looks into that dugout. He's looking out at Tudor now. He just looked in. He may take another look, and we know what Melvin and what Brentley do. There you see Mike Rourke and Herzog.
No balls and 2 strikes to Candy Maldonado. Tudor off the rubber. The Giants have left 5 so far in 5 innings. There's the ground ball to Tommy Herr. He has to get the front man, and that's all. So now they'll get on Leonard as he jogs off the field. So 1 out as Leonard is forced by Maldonado, and the batter is Chili Davis. Chili Davis struck out and fouled out. 0 for 2. Grounded, just foul.
He's low inside. He gets around on it. And Pendleton has no chance, but she's just barely foul. Close plays.
Boy, you have to have the eye of a diamond cutter down there. Pallone is right on it. 0-1 the count to Chili Davis. Will Clark on deck. Maldonado during the regular year was a break-even runner. He stole 8. He was caught 8. He has not taken a good lead yet.
Oh, he had him leaning, and he wasn't off that far. I thought he was going to get him, Vin.
There's one good thing. You know he's not a particularly good runner, so you really try to go after him to intimidate him.
I think if Tudor would have put the good move on, he might have had him, because he was leaning.
No balls and 1 strike to Chili Davis. 1-1. Maldonado staring over to Don Zimmer to see if there might be a play on. And Chili Davis had a long look. And it's popped up. It will be Lindemann. So with 2 out in the top of the 6th inning, Will Clark, who has hit in 5 straight, tonight has walked and struck out. We'd like to remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ball game.
Remember, Tudor got Clark on a good fastball. 2 good fastballs for the last 2 strikes.
The outfield pretty well fanned out. Vince Coleman straight away in left field. McGee maybe a tad shaded, but almost straight up the middle. Clark a fine hitter, and he can use the whole ballpark. Foul back. A couple of years ago, playing on the United States Olympic team, now not only in the big leagues, trying to get to the World Series.
And hitting about the same as he did then. He just felt he could hit anywhere, and he has pretty well shown it.
Oh, a little spinner. He could have flipped that thing around the corner.
And I'll bet if you ask Tudor about it, he'll tell you that I didn't want that ball there because it's way inside the curveball. You don't want that curveball there, but it just so fooled Clark. He just could do nothing but watch it.
65-mile-an-hour flip. 0-2. High fly ball to right field. It's playable. Oquendo is there. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 5.5, the Cardinals won and the Giants nothing. A glimpse into the Cardinal dugout, and John Tudor saying, "Oh no, no." Whatever it was, he got away with it, and it's still 1-0 Cardinals in the 6th. Ozzie Smith, Tommy Herr, and Jim Lindemann. Fly ball back a third, hooking foul. Uribe and Mitchell, neither man can get to it.
Trevecki, through 5 innings, has made 84 pitches, 61 strikes, Vin, and only 23 balls. So the ratio is really something. Mitchell thinks he's got to play all the way, but nope. The box that they build for special seats beat him out of making the play.
0-1 to count to Ozzie Smith, who was struck out and lined out. 0 for 2. Goes the other way down the right field line, foul, and the count 0-2. Trevecki immediately out in front of him, and he has become a strikeout terror. Remember, he struck out the side in the 5th. He has struck out 4 in a row. He has struck out 5 of his last 6. 1-2. Trevecki with 8 strikeouts. Time. Fouled away. Trevecki has retired 7 in a row. The last base hit for the Cardinals, Tommy Herr picked it up with 2 out in the 3rd inning. Another foul.
Just moves that ball around so well, both pitchers. It's a real delight as a catcher to watch that. Those are the rally caps. They turn their caps around.
A few of them do. It's not a majority rule, though, is it?
No. The 2 college guys.
1-2. 2-2.
Looked like it was McGrane and Matthews, and if those 2 guys do it, they are going to be a little different.
Yeah. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fly ball, and it'll be Chili Davis. So that's 8 in a row retired by Dave Trevecki. And Tommy Herr, 2 for 2 coming up. Herr single to right in the 1st inning and single to left in the 3rd. Outside of the 1 ball that was apparently lost in the lights by Maldonado, Trevecki and Tudor are dead even. But that has become a big difference. Tudor has been in some kind of trouble in almost every inning. Tudor retired the side in order only in the 4th. No balls, 1 strike. Fouled away.
Dravecky usually comes inside more during the ball game, but so far he has just shown him that pitch, and he has literally owned the outside corner. He's been hitting it with his cut fastball and that backdoor slider.
No balls and 2 strikes to Tommy Herr. And he rolls it slowly to Uribe. He's rolling along now. That's 9 in a row retired by Dave Dravecky, who, by the way, is due to bat 3rd when the Giants come up in the 7th. They have Bob Melvin, Jose Uribe, and then Dravecky. Jim Lindemann, single to center, fly to left, 1 for 2. The only run way back in the 2nd inning. Boy, he's going right after the hitters. He's had 2 strikes on Smith, 2 strikes on Herr, and immediately gets the strike on Lindemann. One and 1. Terry Pendleton on deck. Foul ball. 1 and 2 the count to Lindemann. Giants have been frustrated on a fine running catch by Willie McGee with 2 on and 1 out, and the bunt that was turned into a force play at 3rd. The Cardinals have really had only 1 rally. That's when they had 1st and 3rd and 2 out in the 1st inning. Their run came on the ball that wound up eluding Maldonado for a triple. And right up the middle. So that breaks the string of 9 consecutive outs and brings up Terry Pendleton with Lindemann at first.
Ball's the outside part of plate, and just sent it right through his leg. Dravecky got the glove there, but a bit late. Pendleton has not been able to lay off the high fastball, and he struck out twice.
Pendleton with 3 hits in the series, batting only 176. Strike.
So he gets ahead of you, boy, and he puts you in a hole right now.
He has gone after every hitter. Lindemann at first has not had very much base running experience, but he's 3 out of 4 in stolen bases during the regular season.
You're going to hold him.
Little foul ball out of play, and the count 0-2.
Dravecky really gives his base runners a good look at first base. He's got a good move.
His last 6 hitters, going back to the 5th inning when he struck out the side and right up through Lindemann. 6 straight first pitch strikes. In other words, he's going right after him. 0-2 to Terry Pendleton.
Trying to get him to chase it. He just wouldn't do it that time.
Melvin keeps looking over to Roger Craig. Fouled away. Tough game for the Giants, and a particularly rough night for St. Louis. I mean, it's either win or that's it. The Giants have the luxury of saying to themselves, there's always game 7, but Roger would like to nail it tonight.
A lot of those signs he gives are decoys, but you never know. I tell you, Lindemann was leaning, I thought.
1-2 to Terry Pendleton. 2 out in the 6th. 1-0 Cardinals. Tony Pena on deck. And he got one inside, and Pendleton drives it down the line. Foul ball. Eric Gregg right on the line to call it easily. One of the few pitches Pendleton got inside. Boy, he was quick to open up on it. Pulled it too much.
The fans doing a little bit of umpiring, but a big Eric Gregg was right there on top of it.
All of the Giants down in the bullpen are standing up and pointing up towards the stands. Now the police and ushers are pointing up to the stand. Naturally, we have to assume someone was throwing something out of the stand, perhaps in the direction of Jeffrey Leonard. That doesn't take too much detective work to come to that assumption.
Well, I think somebody spilled something on him, and he says he's all right because they were going to bring the towel out to him. There's the ball hit, and it was fouled by some 3 feet.
Now watch as Leonard will come into the picture.
Ah, there it is.
Oh,
See it?
yeah.
Yeah.
A shower.
That's really uncalled for.
Yeah, it's great to boo. There's nothing wrong with that, or hollering or waving signs, but when you actively interfere with a player, that's really dirty pool.
You'll really see it with this shot, I'm sure. There he goes over, and there's the spray. And now they're out in left field corner. The ushers, the police, the umpires, they pick the guy out, and he will be ejected. There you see the meeting.
Are you going to go down in there and tell him to be good?
Well, if I was Eric Gregg, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, as big as he is.
All right, Roger Craig came out onto the field. An usher and a security guard and another with a walkie-talkie. Imagine 167 games of a season that began in spring training, for some the last week in February, and we're down to this. And no one has won anything yet.
You don't think Doubleday knew what he was doing?
One ball, 2 strikes. The attendance, 55,331. 55,331. That's the crowd, the same crowd they had for the first 2 games. Each of the first 2. Bouncer to Dravecky. Nice play as he goes up the ladder and throws him out. No runs, 1 hit as Lindeman is left at first. At the end of 6, 1-0 St. Louis. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
A bell strike tonight at 10.
The 1987 National League Championship Series is brought to you. On the foul ball hit into the left field corner. Another insight into the feeling of the crowd concerning Jeffrey Leonard as he gets a shower. Evidently, that fan was found guilty and has been taken from the seat. Leonard smiling through, huh? Not bothering him.
Telling you, make a great villain wrestler.
Look at it. Bob Melvin takes ball 1. Melvin 2 for 2. Single to left, single to center, but was involved in a big play when he was forced at third on the bunt by Dravecky. Fouled away. Don Robinson is up in the Giant bullpen, so immediately you feel that Roger Craig is thinking hitter, even though Dravecky has been masterful for 6 innings. 1 ball and 1 strike. In there. Tudor has struck out 5, walked 2, retired the side in order only in the 4th inning. Dravecky retired the side in order in the 4th and 5th. And that from Melvin is his 3rd hit And Coleman over to the line to keep it a single. Nice play.
Once again, when you talk about building a team around a ballpark, there it is again. He cut off the extra base hit, and now the double play is in order. If he's on at second base, the out probably picks up a base, but here he makes a great play. It's down the line. Melvin doesn't have great speed to begin with, but Coleman, when he cuts it off right here, keeping it from going from the fence, big play, and now it looks like they're going to put in a pinch runner, Vin, and wisely.
Eddie Milner will now run for Bob Melvin in the 7th inning. In this kind of a game, Milner used as a runner, but it doesn't mean he's not going to play anymore, especially on AstroTurf. If the Giants get a run, they would then like, I believe, to have Milner in the outfield.
And Don Zimmer really having a long meeting with Uribe. I mean, whatever he does on the coaching lines, forget about it. He has just explained everything. I mean, he went probably back to spring training to explain, because from the time the ball landed, Zimmer was talking to Uribe.
Boy, Melvin is caught up in a hurry. He was 0 for 4 coming into the game, and Melvin goes out 3 for 3. Todd Worrell and Ken Daly begin to loosen up back of Tudor, who has had a man on in almost every inning. Uribe lost a hit on the running catch by McGee and singled in the 5th inning. Milner, in limited service, stole 10 bases, but he was caught 9 times. And the bunt is down, and Tudor barehanded it. So the sacrifice is in the books, and that gets Milner, representing the tying run, to second base with 1 out. And Dravecky is gone back into the dugout. Bob Brenly comes up the steps, since they're going to need a catcher anyway, having taken Melvin out for the runner. And Bob Melvin will bat for Dravecky and then stay in the game behind the plate. Brenly with 3 hits, 1 of them a home run. Now you subtract Brenly, so you have Spire, Williams, Aldretti, and Spillman available for pinch hitting.
Even though Robinson was the loser in the game in San Francisco, it's been a well-rested bullpen for Craig, and he can't win by holding him. He's got to tie it, and he's going for the pinch hitter here. And Dravecky, who really did a great job, leaves the game.
Dravecky allowed 1 run, and even that was tainted on the ball that might normally have been caught. But Maldonado had so much trouble, and we guess because of the lights. So 1 run and 5 hits. He did not walk a batter while striking out 8. And yet it wasn't good enough. He has to come out for a hitter. So Brenly batting for Dravecky in the 7th. Milner at second. 1 out. 1-0 St. Louis. Ball 1. Brenly followed by the leadoff man, Robbie Thompson. In the series, Brenly has struck out a half a dozen times in 13 at-bats. Off the rubber. Smith to the bag, but no throw.
You see Ozzie jockeying in, makes a quick move, but not enough daylight for Tudor.
1 ball and no strikes to Bob Brenly. Fouled away. Tommy Hurd tried to help out a little bit. As Ozzie went back to his normal depth at short, Hurd tried to do a little bird dogging, going towards the bag, trying to fake Milner back. But at the same time, especially with someone who's been keeping the ball away and throwing sinkers, Herr can't be caught out of position. 1-1. They are like movable bookends trying to put the squeeze on him. In the dirt. Nice stop by Tony Pena. And a new ball put in play by Bob Engel.
You like to see your infielders do that, because if nothing else, cut down that lead and you might have a play at the plate. Pena, I tell you, coming up, he came up a bit early, but he was still able to block that ball. That saved the big bases.
Two balls and one strike. Milner at second, one out in the seventh, 1-0 St. Louis. Little pop fly. It'll be Terry Pendleton. Now with 2 out, Tony Pena again going to the mound to talk to Tudor, and Robbie Thompson coming up. Thompson struck out in the first inning, walked in the third, flied to center in the fifth. Robbie Thompson brings up a rather glistening set of credentials, doesn't he, with 2 out and runners in scoring position. Milner at second base, representing the tying run. Right.
What a pitch. It's the kind of game that Whitey Herzog had to get from Tudor to take him into the 7th inning. And he has done it, and he's done it mostly with that pitch right there on that outside corner.
Tudor is due to bat 4th when the Cardinals hit in the bottom of the 7th. Sinker, and the bottom dropped out of it.
And it was not a strike, out of the zone.
And the crowd on its feet again as Dave Dravecky hopes to get even. Everybody up and at him. And we're in the 7th. Ball 1. One and 2. Ozzie to the bag. No play.
I think that Tudor is telling Pena what he wants to do. There's really no strategy involved here with that count. Two strikes and 1 ball, 2 outs. Got to get that hitter.
Eddie Milner running for Bob Melvin, who had collected his 3rd hit, representing the tying run. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Robbie Thompson. Fouled away down the right field line, well back into the crowd. And Dravecky, what is it? They also serve who only stand and wait. He did a lot more than wait. He pitched great through 6 innings, struck out 8, allowed 1 run on a ball misplayed in right field. And now Robbie Thompson is trying to get him even. 1 and 2. Got him.
John Tudor gets a big strikeout. Watch where he places his ball. It's way out of the strike zone. Robbie Thompson can't come close to hitting it. A big out, and Thompson knows that he just chased a bad ball.
We go to the bottom of the 7th inning with the Cardinals leading 1-0, and the Giants change their battery. Don Robinson on the mound, and behind the plate, Bob Brenly, who had batted for Drevecki. So if you're keeping score, Brenly stays in, batting 9th, and Robinson now occupies the number 7 slot. The Cardinals will send up Tony Pena, Willie McGee, and Jose Oquendo. Hit to right field, and back for it goes Maldonado to the track to handle it, and almost ran out from under it.
I tell you, he's put excitement back into the fly ball tonight. He ran so far back that he had to make a pretty good catch to come up with that play.
Ball seemed to die, and at the last second, he'll catch it down around the left knee.
Whoop. Had to come back for it.
One away, Willie McGee grounded to third and struck out. For McGee, a chance to bat left-handed. A little more comfortable for him with the sore left wrist. One ball and no strikes. Good breaking ball. 1-1.
Willie started to swing, and then about the middle of it, he decided, well, I'll just finish it, but I'm not going to be able to hit it. It was really a give-up swing.
We saw Robinson once before in the series. He came in to try and bail out Atlee Hammaker and couldn't do it. That was the game where the Cardinals wound up winning 6-5. 2-1. Ground ball to shortstop, Uribe. Takes care of McGee. 2 down, and here's how close this game is.
Maldonado, it's a short throw, but it's off target. Ball gets to Melvin in plenty of time, but it's so far up the line that Pena is able to come around and touch that plate with his hands.
And that's it. 1-0 St. Louis. And remember, Pena got aboard only because Maldonado couldn't handle a ball that would normally be caught. Oquendo has the scoring fly ball and struck out. 0-1.
It's a case of the Cardinals making the defensive plays and the Giants not able to.
Looking ahead in the 8th inning, the Giants will send up Kevin Mitchell, Jeffrey Leonard, and Candy Maldonado. If anybody gets on, Chili Davis. That's a strike.
Oquendo is really a great admirer of Rod Carew. In fact, today, because I was asking him about his stance, he said, today I got my Rod Carew videotape. I'm going to study it.
No balls and 2 strikes to Jose. Ball 1. 1 run, 5 hits for the Cardinals. No run, 6 hits for the Giants. Giants had a man cut down at third on a bunt in the 5th inning. Willie McGee made a running catch to take a base hit away from Jose Uribe, maybe extra bases. And those have been the 2 very big defensive plays thus far tonight. McGee flashing into left center to haul down Uribe's drive that might very well have scored 2 runs. 3-2.
I'd like to add that play of Vince Coleman in left field cutting that ball down, even though they did sacrifice in the second. If it's a 2-base hit, you can see what a difference that makes.
Talking about a difference, you got a man in here now who throws very hard, 94 miles an hour on that last pitch. Fouled away. So where we had 2 left-handers who were basically finessing their way and making it pay, Tudor has struck out 8. Tudor has struck out 6, and Drevecki struck out 8. Now the big West Virginian comes in throwing BBs. 3-2 to Oquendo. Foul back, and that took a bite out of Brenly.
That always makes you feel good. You sit on the bench for 6 innings. You come in the game as a pinch hitter, hit a weak pop fly, and then get 40 calories taken right out of your shoulder.
Wow. 3-2. Time. Kibler calling time and gesturing towards the Giant dugout, perhaps, or somewhere in that general vicinity. Still not quite sure. That's sliced to left center, but Chili Davis was shading him there, and Leonard comes in front of him to pick it off. So the Cardinals tiptoe through the 7th, and at the end of 7, the Cardinals 1, the Giants nothing. Mitchell, Leonard, Maldonado. Well, we got a dandy going here as we go to the 8th. Kevin Mitchell, single to center, fouled out and flied to center, followed by Jeffrey Leonard, who has 1 hit in 3 trips, and Candy Maldonado, who is 0 for 3. Down in the Cardinal bullpen, Todd Worrell is throwing. Mike Rourke, the pitching coach, is checking. And then Worrell, if they need a left-hander, would be joined by Ken Daly.
This Cardinal ball club, then, it seems like when they need that big shutout, like against Montreal, they got a double shutout, 6 hits in 2 games and win both.
Whitey figured that was a showdown doubleheader with Montreal, and in the first game, Joe McGrain outpitched Dennis Martinez 1-0. And the Cardinals came back to win the nightcap 3-0, but that's the only 1-0 game the Cardinals have won all year, and they're trying to do it here to stay alive. So Kevin Mitchell to start things off in the 8th. Ball 1. The only time John Tudor retired the side in order, it was in the 4th. Mitchell has single, fouled out, and flied to center. Sinker, and he wouldn't bite. No swing, says John Kibler, the first base umpire, and the count 2 balls and no strike.
And how Tudor has been just moving the ball around. Remember the last time Mitchell was up, he threw 2 fastballs. It looked like Mitchell was waiting for the ball on the outside part of the plate. This time he hasn't shown him a fastball yet.
2-0. There's the fastball hit to Pendleton, who flags it while backing up. Boy, that's a tough play. And Pendleton did it so very well. 1 down.
That's one of the big reasons that Herzog says when I pitch left-handers, it doesn't work against me because I got such great defense on that side with Ozzie Smith and Pendleton. And ball gets behind him, and here's the throw, and here comes the hack man.
So 1 out in the 8th. Jeffrey Leonard struck out in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd, single to left in the 6th. He's had a cowbell thrown at him. He's had beer poured down on him, and he has been taunted with signs and with the chant. Otherwise, it's been a very quiet night in the life of Jeffrey Leonard. Ball 1. Here comes the chant, the taunt again. 1 ball and no strikes. Ball 2. I would think it takes tremendous discipline, not only not to try so hard, but to start swinging at bad balls. I even thought that maybe part of it, when he caught the fly ball by Oquendo, he took it away from Chili Davis, and maybe he was trying a little too hard on that play.
He wants to do it all.
2 balls and no strikes. Time. Todd Worrell joined by Ken Daly in the Cardinal bullpen.
And then when he hit the home run off Tudor, he's got the 1 flap down. And he says, when I do that, that means that pitch has got nothing on it. More fuel.
2-0. The count, and there's certainly nothing automatic about Leonard taking a 3-0 pitch.
Oh, if you had to bet, you'd bet he'd be swinging if he likes it. Zimmer didn't even make a move, so you know he's got the green light if he likes it.
3-0. And he walked him. That is the 3rd walk given up by John Tudor. He walked Will Clark in the 2nd inning and Robbie Thompson in the 3rd. And Whitey Herzog, I believe, will make a switch in right now as he talks to Bob Engel. With Candy Maldonado and the switch hitting Chili Davis coming up, John Tudor has made 118 pitches up to here. And we'll see if they bring in Worrell. And they're going to the bullpen. And they want Todd Worrell. They're going to make a 2-for-1 switch. John Morris will come out of the dugout and go into right field. And John Tudor leads. We'll be right back after this. Whitey Herzog makes a 2-for-1 switch. John Morris will go into right field and bat ninth. He'll be first up in the bottom of the 8th. Todd Worrell will go into Jose Oquendo's spot. That made the last out in the 7th. And Roger Craig decides to send up Mike Aldrete for Candy Maldonado. Aldrete 1 for 5 in the series. Solid left-hand hitter. Chili Davis, a switch hitter on deck. Ken Daly throwing back of Worrell in the Cardinal bullpen. And Leonard at first.
Right. There's no doubt about Worrell. He's just going to rear back and fire. That radar gun's going to feel like it got a new set of batteries. It's going to register in the 90s, 97.
That's a nice way to say hello to a hitter, but Aldrete is a very, very good one. John Tudor, like Drevecki, sweating it out. Drevecki was hoping to at least get a tie. Tudor wants to hold on to the win. Foul back, 0-2. For Todd Worrell, this is his 3rd appearance as you see Chili Davis on deck. Worrell in his 3rd game has 1 save. No balls and 2 strikes to Mike Aldrete. Jack Clark talking to John Tudor. 0-2 the count to Mike Aldrete, with Jeffrey Leonard at first representing the tying run and 1 out in the 8th. Foul back. Aldrete had a half a dozen hits coming off the bench, including a home run this year.
Worrell's been 97, 96, and 97. But I want to point out this gun is the one that's a little faster than the other one. But 97 with any kind of a gun is swift.
And Aldrete, a .325 hitter during the year. So it's quite a battle. 0-2. Fouled away. Boy, you talk about pressure. 1-0 Cardinals, trying desperately to stay alive. Top of the 8th inning. Giants trying to put them away and make their plans to go to Minnesota. Drive the hitter out of there and throw to first. What do you think?
No, the set pitch inside, yes, to move him back. But Pena's on his knees. If you got a set pitch, you want to make a stronger throw than he made now. He's right down on his knees. He sees he's got a chance, and he just kind of fires it over there. Makes his ball club look good. But he came inside to move him back, definitely.
1-2. Got him. pitched him away.
The first time, but he set him up inside. Right. That was the setup pitch.
Strikeout number 1 for Worrell. Take a look at the location of this pitch now. After one inside, look at that one, away.
He brushed him back and then went there. Tudor watching everything, rooting it on. The pressure was on him to start the game. He got him this far, and Worrell just rearing back. 97, 96, 97, 97, 96, 97. I'd have gotten that in school. I'd have felt much better.
I was watching Jack Clark, and he was chewing that gum to death.
Sure he was. They know what it means.
Here's Chili Davis, struck out, fouled out, and popped up. Leonard, the tying run with 2 out in the 8th inning. The only run of the game, way back in the 2nd. On a ball that gave Maldonado trouble and went for a triple. And Oquendo's fly ball, and Pena just did squeeze home, and that's it. Fouled away, 0-1. Whitey Herzog had most of his plans knocked askew. Rogers worrying about having this one go down the drain. 1 run, 5 hits for the Cardinals. No runs, 6 hits for the Giants. Chili Davis with Will Clark on deck. That might be one reason why Ken Daly is still up in the bullpen. 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. There goes Leonard, and there's a fly ball to left field. Vince Coleman is there. He's got it. No runs, no hits. There's a blizzard again at Busch, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. A reminder, stay tuned for local news, followed by The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, and Late Night with David Letterman. And if the score holds up and we come back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, scheduled for that Game 7 would be Danny Cox and Atlee Hammaker, all beginning with Major League Baseball and Inside Look. But we've got a ways to go. Mike Aldretti, who batted for Maldonado, stays in the game in right field. John Morris batting 9th, the right fielder for St. Louis. Strike. So Morris, who came in at the same time as Worrell, first chance to swing the bat tonight. One and one. Strike on the inside corner. 1-2. Don Robinson trying to keep the Cardinals on the ground for Dave Dravecky. Robinson pitching his 2nd inning. Vince Coleman on deck, and then Ozzie Smith. Ground foul. Shot outside at first. Still 1-2. One and two. Breaking ball, backhanded by Will Clark. Fine play to take an extra base hit away from John Morris, who jumped on that curveball.
Clark makes a good play because it comes off the artificial surface, real skippy. And Clark, once he gets it, it's an easy play. But that ball was well hit. Thought he was going to get by him.
The Cardinals have had just one hit since the third inning, and that was a 2-out single by Jim Lindemann, but they are trying to make that second inning run stand up. Vince Coleman, batting left-handed now, grounded out twice and struck out. 0 for 3. All of his hits in the series have been as a left-handed batter, and Mitchell looks bunt, but it's a full swing. Boy, it's hard for National League pitchers to realize Coleman yet to steal, bunts and hit while in the batter's box, and the count 0-2. National League pitchers watching must say to themselves, how can that be? The 6th game, and Coleman hasn't stolen a base, and he's 0 for 1.
I wonder if it's an imposter.
Yeah, right. 0-2. Out away. On deck, Ozzie Smith. 55,331. Same crowd for each of the 3 games played at Busch Stadium. And of course at Candlestick Park they set an all-time crowd of 59,363. 0-2. Fouled at the plate, and that took a bite out of Brenly.
If they need a catcher, should Brenly get hit, it'll be Harry Spillman. He's the 3rd catcher. That ball just kind of hit him in between there.
Right up on the left thigh. So that matches the left shoulder shot he took a little while ago.
See, that doesn't hurt as much as it stings. It's one of those that just stings like somebody put a match to you.
0-2 to Vince. Boy, a mean overhand breaking ball. Now, he didn't get him that hard breaking when he hung it to Morris, and John drilled it, and Clark saved him. Boy, that thing had some bite to it.
That one, he was hoping that Coleman would chase it because he had the big 2-strike count on him. He could afford to waste it.
Fastball got him looking. So Vince Coleman turned away empty-handed. 9 Cardinals have struck out tonight. 7 Giants have struck out.
We've just seen classic examples of one pitch working to help you on the next one. Todd Worrell, when he threw that ball to Eldreddy inside and came outside with the fastball, got him. Here you see Robinson bouncing up that curveball and coming back with a fastball. So one pitch helping the other.
The hitters have certainly moved to different neighborhoods now, where they were looking at the finesse of John Tudor and Dave Dravecky. Now they're getting the hard stuff from Todd Worrell and Don Robinson. Robinson is 6'4", 235. Strike. 1-1. He's another one who lives in that 95-mile-an-hour neighborhood. Ozzie is struck out, lined out, and flied out. Ground ball. Robbie Thompson stumbled, stays with it, and gets him.
Artificial surface helped him. It bounced right up.
So the Cardinals are gone in order, and here come the Giants. Will Clark. And then we'll see about Robinson and Uribe. All you have to do is look at the faces of Bob and Connie Lurie, and you know the Giants are hurting as they come to the 9th inning. It is 1-0 St. Louis. Will Clark. Harry Spillman will bat for Don Robinson, and then Jose Uribe.
It is a matchup of strength against strength. The fastball pitcher against the fastball hitter.
No balls, 1 strike. Foul. Strike 2. This crowd has been beside itself before the game started, and it has just kept building and building until they just want to tear the skies down. 0-2 to Will Clark.
it would not surprise me, Vin, to see that gun register this fella over 100 miles an hour on one pitch this inning. He is really pumped up.
Oh, I bet. 1-2 to Clark, who has walked, struck out, and flied to right. 2-2. Todd Worrell, he's 28, working on Will Clark. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Worrell is 6'5", 210. Fouled away. One thing about Worrell, being such a hard thrower, he was in 75 games, a Cardinal record for appearances in a season. So for someone who has thrown as hard as he had, he's been called upon so many times, and now he is asked to hold on to John Tudor's 1-0 lead. 2-2 to number 22. Foul back.
And there's not much finesse. He's still at 97, just getting a sign, and Pena's remembering, I'm putting down one finger, and here it comes.
Would it be dirty fool if he ever came up with a changeup?
Oh, I can't believe what pain the hitter would go through as he tried to keep his body in his shoes.
2-2, and Worrell off the rubber. Fouled away.
How'd you like to have a guy pitching for you? This is the second inning, and the slowest pitch he's thrown is 95 miles per hour.
That's just changed. Clark, Spillman, and Uribe due up in the 9th inning. 2-2 to Will. Fouled away again. That might have been ball 3. Did that look like a borderline pitch?
It was high. I would definitely, but when the guy's throwing that hard, you don't have much chance to react.
That's that old gag where you say to the umpire, that sounded high. Off speed. Changeup. Strike 3 called.
82 miles an hour is the first one, and you could see that it just froze him. It was a matter of time, but he did throw it, and I tell you, it was almost a historical moment, man.
And how for Todd Worrell to throw a 2-2 changeup, that's worth another look.
And even at that, it was 82 miles an hour, but he throws so hard that if he changes speeds at all, forget about it. Now Whitey is out talking to Bob Engel.
1 down, and Whitey now is going to go to Ken Daly with the left-hand hitter, Spillman, coming up. And that would also keep Uribe right-handed. Watch Bob Lurie and his wife Connie on that pitch to Will Clark. Oh. It was Bob Lurie who saved the San Francisco franchise just before it was going to Toronto. Well, we're going to have another change. John Morris has come in from right field. Todd Worrell is going to right field. Whitey did this earlier this year against the Philadelphia Phillies. Let me see if I can remember. Von Hayes was the hitter. He sent Worrell to the outfield and brought Daly in to pitch. Daly got Hayes. Then he took Daly out and brought Worrell in. And Worrell, I got Rick Shue and somebody else, I forget. But that's what he's doing for the second time this year.
It's a play that Paul Richards was the first one I remember doing it, and Whitey not afraid to do it, and he's got Worrell in right field, and I'm telling you, Vin, what a ball game.
one of the arguments that was brought up by Philadelphia, it is a fine point. The night that he did this against the Phillies, it was the 22nd of September. After Daly got his man, they took Daly out. Worrell came back in and warmed up again. You know, you're allowed to take 8 warm-up tosses. And immediately there was an argument and a protest lodged that Worrell was allowed to warm up 2 separate times in the same inning, but the protest was not allowed. Chris Spire is now going to come up and bat for Harry Spillman.
Boy, the wheels. Oh, have they been turning?
So Will Clark is still thinking about that 2-2 changeup. And he was caught looking. It is still 1-0 in favor of St. Louis. And now here comes the confrontation. Daly and Spire. Will Clark is not finished. He's still hot in the dugout. But that's history. It's Ken Daly to pitch to Spire. Chris Spire, the youngest to play in the LCS, who was with the Giants way back in '71. The most inspirational player, winner of the Willie Mack Award this year, voted to the Giant player.
He's not exactly a flipper out there. That was 92 miles an hour.
In the dirt. Might have tried to throw that one a little too hard. 1 ball and 1 strike to Chris Spire. Spire hit .249 during the regular year, but he had 11 home runs. So he commands respect. Strike. 1 and 2.
With all the injuries that the Cardinals have had, Whitey Herzog says Ken Daly coming back is the best thing that's happened all year.
And the crowd on its feet again. 1 out in the 9th, 1-0 St. Louis. Fouled away. We talked about Spire hitting 11 home runs. He hit 2 against Whitey this year, including a grand slam. See if Worrell is brought back in to pitch to Uribe or not. And he is asking, do you want me to come back in? And Pena looks to the dugout, and Nick Leyva comes up and holds up both hands as if to say, wait a minute.
Cardinals have too much pitching on the field.
That was the gag. Daly said, I'm going so bad I was relieved by the right fielder. But he's not going to be relieved by the right fielder for the moment anyway. Uribe robbed of an extra base hit that might have given the Giants a couple of runs in the 2nd inning, singled in the 5th, sacrificed in the 7th, and this place is a madhouse. Ground ball up the middle, backhanded by her. The Cardinals are still alive. took a great running catch by Willie McGee. It took a great throw from Pendleton to Ozzie Smith for the play at third, and it took tremendous pitching to beat the Giants tonight. But the Cardinals had all of that and kept Jeffrey Leonard quiet in the bargain. So the Cardinals shut out the Giants 1-0. There'll be a 7th game. Cox and Hammaker, and we'll be back after this. In the madhouse that is Busch Stadium, in the aftermath of the Cardinals' stay alive 1-0 victory, it tells you a little bit that he would come on the postgame show, and I'm talking about Jeffrey Leonard. Let's go to Marv.
Thank you, Vin, and it certainly does tell us a bit about Jeffrey Leonard, because this crowd has remained, and they are not ushering sweet nothings in your direction.
No, they're not. They're in the flow of the ball game. As far as the howling is concerned, I remember one time I got in trouble when I was a kid. And I got yelled at more by my mother and father there. So, you know, this don't mean nothing. Tudor threw a great ball game, and they were the better ball club today. Now, tomorrow, won't fall.
With all the hoopla concerning your statements and with things being tossed at you out in left field, how difficult was it for you to strike out the first 2 times?
It really wasn't that difficult. You know, I got away from my game. I was a little bit more anxious. I felt very strong tonight, and he got me chasing it at his pitch. As far as throwing the steel cowbells and the frozen hot dogs and, you know, all the money out there, yeah, it wasn't that much of a distraction, because, you know, I've learned how to erase that.
Did you get hit by anything out there?
Well, I went down into the left field corner, and they poured 2 cups of beer on me. And one of the cowbells just hit the side of my leg. Other than that, it was a regular ball game.
You were a regular moving target out in left field.
Well, you know, things happen, circumstances arise, and that's the way it is.
The key play in the game, though, was the fly ball by Tony Pena to right field, and Candy Maldonado went down. What happened out there? What happened to Candy?
You know, that's every outfielder's nightmare. You know, you are positioned right, and then all of a sudden you get the ball caught right in the lights at the last minute. You either have to just pray you catch it, duck, get out of the way, that doesn't hit you in the head. And unfortunately for the Giants, he lost it in the lights, and he went down in the ball in the ball out by. But I think every major league outfielder has been there before.
Any message that you have for St. Louis fans as they chant Jeffrey, Jeffrey?
They are still not louder than the fans in Chicago or Philadelphia.
All right, Jeffrey, don't call me Jeff Leonard. Let's get back to Vin and Joe.
All right, tonight's NBC Miller Lite player of the game is John Tudor. Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of John Tudor to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. We'll be back to New Year's Eve at Busch Stadium. We've heard from Jeffrey Leonard. We've gotten an insight to the game as far as the Giants are concerned. Now let's look at the other side of the coin in the Cardinals' view. Let's go to Terry Pendleton and to Joe Morgan.
Thank you, Vin. In the 5th inning, Terry, there was a tough defensive play that you made, runners at first and second. A good bunt, I thought, by Dave Rebecki. Then describe what happened.
Well, you know, we had the bunt play on where we were going to try to get the runner at third, Joe. And, you know, I came in to fill the bunt, but like you said, Dave Rebecki made an excellent lay down, an excellent bunt. And it was tough on me, and I still felt like I had a chance at third, and I had to go that way. I felt like it was a crucial play in the ball game.
I was surprised you went to third because it was a good bunt.
Well, you know, I still felt like I had an opportunity to get the guy at third. You know, Ozzie made a good play of stretching for the baseball, and, you know, there was a lot of controversy over there on the play, but the play went our way. The umpire called him out, and I'm happy about it.
Here we get another look at the play. It was a very close play. You come up right away, throwing to third. Now you tell me whether he's out or safe.
I think he's out there, Joe. I honestly do. You know, I really feel like he got him there. I think the umpire made an excellent play there.
And the replay verified that. You were right. Great play, Terry Pendleton. Now back to Marv Albert. He has tomorrow's starting pitcher for the Giants, Adley Hammaker.
All right, Joe, and this is Adley Hammaker, the scheduled starter against Danny Cox tomorrow in game number 7. Adley has made a remarkable comeback, sat out the entire 86 season, has come back very strong. You, though, have had problems on the road. At Candlestick, 9 up and 2 down, but away from San Francisco, a record of 1-8. What does that do to your head as you prepare for tomorrow?
Well, it really doesn't do anything because I pitched some real good games this year on the road. I just didn't come up with any wins. It's just, you know, right now it's a one-game series. I've got to go out there and pitch my game, and Roger feels he's got a lot of confidence in me. I just go out there and pitch the best way I can.
You pitched well in game 3 out in San Francisco. Did you run out of gas, though?
Maybe a little bit because the emotion was so high, but you know, if he gets 6 or 7 innings out of me tomorrow, he'll be happy with that. I just want to pitch effective, keep my team in the ball game, and give it a chance to win tomorrow.
Anything different that you're looking to do tomorrow as opposed to what took place Friday night?
Same thing we did last time, try to keep off-speed pitches, to keep them off balance and neutralize their team speed.
All right, Atlee Hammaker of the Giants, who will face Danny Cox tomorrow night in Game 7. Let's get back to Vin and Joe.
Friends, the 1987 National League Championship Series has been